Tonight we are having a cozy dinner with some friends, and I'm just finishing up the table. My menu's going to be cozy too. I'm starting the menu out with my roasted chicken stuffed under the skin, and I'm pairing it with my tomato white wine poached asparagus. This cozy menu is not only super delicious, but it's nutritious too. My roasted chicken stuffed under the skin has 582 calories with 35 grams of protein, 4 grams of fiber, and 125% of the recommended daily allowance of vitamin A, 2,987 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids, making it mildly anti-inflammatory. My tomato white wine poached asparagus has only 111 calories with 6 grams of protein and 6 grams of fiber with 100% of the recommended daily allowance of vitamin K, 52% of the recommended daily allowance of vitamin A. Now let's get started with the chicken. Now the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove the innards and we're going to butterfly it. So you're going to need some trusty shears. These are kitchen shears and they will cut through just about any bone. You're going to be amazed when you see this. Now this, you're wondering, what is that? Well, this is Nina's trusty freezer bag that she has chicken bones in. Every time I debone a bird or I roast a bird and I get innards, all the innards and the bones go into this bag in my freezer, and every month or so I make myself a big pot of chicken stock by just throwing a bunch of veggies in a pot and these bones with some water and some wine and some herbs and spices. It's absolutely delicious and it's so economical. Now I've got the innards out. I'm just going to cut out, you have a little button here. I'm going to get rid of the fat. Just going to snip it right out of there. Just like that. Now, let's put this bird on the board. Now this is my meat board. I have separate boards for both meat and veggies. I suggest you do that. You don't want to cross-contaminate. I'm going to just pop these into my freezer. Now, lay it breast down. And you're just going to take your trusty shears and you're going to run them right down the side of the backbone here. You'll be able to feel the spine right along here and you're just going to snip right through it. See how easy that is? Make your life easy in the kitchen. With a knife, this is much tougher, especially for us girls. See how easily that comes out? And it just goes right into my bone bag that I keep in my freezer. This is the key to really economical, delicious chicken stock. I'm going to lay the chicken bone side down, breast side up onto a broiler pan. Now I've covered it in tin foil and then I've laid a piece of parchment paper on top so we don't get any tinny flavors. This really helps you with cleanup. I'm just going to make it a little flat, give it a little push with the heel of your hand. I'm going to tuck the little wings in and keep it nice and neat. Just like that. And we'll get started with the stuffing. And I've got some secret ingredients that are going to make you really healthy. Now let's get started with the stuffing. Now the trick to my stuffing is all of these vegetables are going to go into it. Shh, nobody's going to know. It's going to taste just like stuffing your grandma used to make. So let's get started with chopping. I've got about 4 carrots here. My recipe calls for 3 medium. A couple of these were a little small, so I just added 1. You just need to give it a little head start. Just taking off the ends. Just going to toss them right into my garbage can. Now I've got here a red pepper. I'm just going to run my knife down the sides, just like that, to get rid of the core. And once again, I'm just going to give this a really gruff chop. And into the prep bowl it goes. Now the recipe calls for 2 zucchini. And I'm going to save one that I have here on my plate because I usually have a little bit extra stuffing. And then I'll just stuff slices of the zucchini. It looks great on the plate. Everybody loves it. Last but not least, a couple of stalks of celery, and I have a large chopped onion already in the bowl. And now we're going to get started with the basil. Isn't that gorgeous? You're going to need about 1/4 cup. Now if you really love basil, use more. If you're not so crazy about it, use less. It really is to personal taste. I love basil. It's probably my favorite herb, so I'm going to use lots. Once again, this doesn't have to be chopped very finely because it's going to go right into the food processor. You just want to get kind of the leaves broken down. Into a prep bowl it goes. I'm going to scrape every last little leaf up. Now let's get started with this food processor. The way that you're going to do this is you're going to start with the toughest vegetables first. So that would be your carrots and your celery. I'm going to give those a quick spin around and get them started. Now they've got a good little chop going on there. Then I'm going to go on with my nice red pepper, and I'm going to toss in my zucchini. I'm going to give this a little bit of a scrape down. My bowl is getting pretty full. Now I'm going to add my onions. I'm just going to give those a quick spin. Oh, it's looking good in there. I can already smell all the aroma of the vegetables. It really gives this dish such flavor, and nobody knows they're there. So now a little secret ingredient. This is 2 slices of nitrate-free bacon that I'm dropping in. I've just sliced it into chunks. Now I avoid nitrates and nitrites because a lot of people get migraines from them. So I like getting the uncured organic bacon. I'm going to give that a quick spin. Now for a binder, instead of breadcrumbs, because if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I cook totally gluten-free. These are walnuts. That's where the omega-3 fatty acids are coming from. And this is really heart healthy. Walnuts are also great for your brain because your brain is made up of omega-3 fatty acids. Now I'm going to add my spices. I've got some sea salt, just about a teaspoon. About 1/2 teaspoon of hot smoked paprika. You can use sweet smoked if you don't like hot very much. I like just a little bit of kick. About 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg and 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, just to give it a kick up. Love cayenne. Now, I've got a couple of teaspoons of minced garlic. Now you can add as much garlic as you want. I love garlic. Let's give that a spin too. Just going to give that one more scrape down. Now it's beginning to come together, and it's going to kind of look like a very soft stuffing, maybe a little bit soupy. Perfect. Let me add my herbs at the very last, because you want a nice smooth mixture for the herbs to go into. Get that basil mixed in. Now, just for ease, I'm going to get this stuffing into a bowl. It'll be easier for me to work with. I'm just going to take out that blade and set it aside. Just scrape out that stuffing. You can see all the color in there, orange and red and green. That means antioxidants. And it not only means antioxidants, but it means tons of flavor. Now, I'm going to grab my chicken and we're going to do something a little special. I'm going to just stick my fingers under the skin, and you're going to notice when you do that that there's a little tendon running down the center of the breastbone, and you're just going to loosen that with your fingers. Now, if you need a little help with a paring knife, you can certainly use one. Just be careful. Try not to puncture the skin. If you do, it's not a big deal. I do it all the time, and it still looks great. So you're going to notice how much elasticity the skin has. I'm running my fingers all the way down the thighs and into the leg. More room for yummy stuffing. All the way up the breast. Just going to take some of this stuffing, and you can see how moist it is. I'm going to just push it underneath the skin, and I like to start way at the back of the breast. Just like that. And you'll be able to play with it. Now I'm stuffing it all the way down the thighs, because the person that likes dark meat wants to have some stuffing too. Now, I've got it perfectly stuffed, and I've got one little tear in the skin that I'm going to toothpick. I'm going to first grab a damp paper towel here, and I'm just going to wipe off the skin to get my little messy stuffing hands got all over this skin, and I just want to clean it off just for presentation purposes. That is good. Beautiful. I'm going to grab just a little toothpick or two, and the little hole that I made, I'm just going to give it a little repair job. All you have to do is pull the skin across and right down into the breast of that meat, and it'll hold pretty well. I'm going to use one more. It'll kind of cook its way closed. I'm going to pop this into a preheated 400-degree oven for about 2 hours, because this is a 5 1/4 pound bird. You want to cook it for about 25 minutes per pound. While my bird is roasting, I am just going to stuff a few veggies with the leftover stuffing. Now, I pulled out some stuffing mushrooms, and I'm just going to pull off the stems, and I'm going to reserve them. And you're not going to be able to believe what I'm going to do with them. Now, here I come again with my chicken bone bag. Believe it or not, I'm going to throw those stems right in there, because they will go into my chicken stock when I'm ready to make it. I'm also going to slice up this zucchini, and I'm just going to make a little crater in the middle with the point of my knife, and I'm just going to top these with just a little bit of stuffing. Make it look cute. Round it off at the top, just like that. Now I'm just going to pop these into the refrigerator and I'll put them into the oven with the chicken about 15 minutes before it's done. At about an hour into the cooking, I'm going to check that bird and make sure the skin's not getting too brown, and if it is, I'll put just a layer of tin foil over it to keep it nice and golden. My chicken has about 15 minutes left roasting, so I've got my stuffed veggies in a nice casserole dish, and I've poured just about a quarter cup of white wine on the bottom just to keep them moist. I'm just going to cover them and slide them into the oven next to my chicken. Let's start making the asparagus. I've got about 2 pounds of asparagus here. Just give it a little bend and the asparagus will break where it wants to. It'll get rid of all the tough stuff. I'm going to go ahead and just place those next to my stove. I've got here 2 beautiful heirloom tomatoes. I've chosen a red and a bright yellow. It'll look absolutely beautiful against that green asparagus. I'm just taking off the ends here, and I'm just going to roughly chop them. They're going to simmer in a pan, so they don't have to be minced. Now this big guy. I'm just going to place that right next to my stove as well. I've got some fresh chopped basil, about a quarter of a cup. I'm going to place that by the stove. A little bit of sea salt, about a half a teaspoon, not too much. About a teaspoon of minced garlic, a little bit of cayenne for kick, and about a cup of Chardonnay. Now it doesn't have to be an expensive Chardonnay, just something that's drinkable. I've preheated my pan, and I know that it's ready because I can feel the heat radiating up from it. To the pan, I'm going to add the heirlooms. No oil, no nothing. Just toss them right in there. To it, just add the Chardonnay, pour it right on in. Give it a nice stir. I'm going to add the garlic. Give that a stir. Sea salt. Stir that in. And just a little dash of cayenne. Give that a stir. And I'm going to toss in about half of the basil. And the rest we're going to reserve to sprinkle on top. The colors are just beautiful. I'm just going to bring that to a nice bubble and let it reduce for about 5 minutes. Now I've got these tomatoes simmering away, so I'm just going to place my asparagus in the pan and try and layer it in one layer, but if you can't, you can just flip it. Just give it a little stir around. Sink them down in there a little bit. There we go. They're laying nice and flat, like little soldiers. I'm just going to cover the pan for maybe 4 minutes, 5, just to get them nice and bright green, and then we'll be ready to serve. I've transferred the pan to my work surface because it's a lot easier for me to handle than on the hot stove. I've got this beautiful green asparagus. I'm just going to place it on a platter. There we go. Nice and bright green. Asparagus is one of my favorite vegetables, and it's filled with vitamin K and vitamin C. We've got some A going on and these beautifully colored heirlooms. pouring the tomatoes and Chardonnay sauce right on top. People are so impressed with this dish because it's so pretty. And the finishing touch, we're just going to sprinkle the reserved basil right on top. Beautifully nutritious, absolutely delicious. Just going to peel off the tin foil here. I put that on about halfway through. And man, does that ever look and smell delicious. And I've got these veggies that I baked up. They're really steaming hot. There you go. I'm going to take a bunch of parsley and just put some green around it. I'm going to carefully place some of these veggies around the platter. Is that gorgeous or what? Doesn't that look like a great cozy dinner?